some suppliers, I'm sure, that maybe were not happy because, of course, with the protest, I'm sure payments were delayed. I'll put the executives there a task to say that, they need to ensure the colleagues that actually they get their monies, because I know that for sure, if you delay payment, I do business with the government, it collapses the business. So I'm sure some of the colleagues are here eager to want to learn from the management what is the strategy moving forward, and also preempt or also make sure that we prevent these kind of elements that are happening to our DLA institution. Colleagues, I won't waste much of your time, but I'll just want to pick up one of the few words from our president, who once told us that ours as a convocation is not to be in line or to favor the management or the alumni. Ours is to favor this brand called CPUT. So, and also to favor everyone that plays a critical part within the university, including you, the suppliers. So with that being said, colleagues, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming, and we're looking forward to the engagement. So welcome. Give yourselves a round of applause, of course. Before I hand over to, okay, that's the purpose of the day. I think I've alluded there. And can you take out your phone? Take out your phone. Turn on the camera to face you, like this. Turn it on. Come on, colleagues, come on. Because one day you need to remember that, keep this photo. Oh, I was at the business breakfast at CPUT. It can be someone next to you, but take a picture. Just take a selfie. There we go, there we go, there we go. Yeah, take a selfie. Beautiful, beautiful. You can post it on social media, you can share it to your colleagues. Yeah, let's not be tired, colleagues. This is the business breakfast. We want to see your faces. We want to see you smile. As I indicated earlier, share those business ideas, those business, conduct the business. Ours, it's simple. I know the theme, it's towards Vision 2030 and beyond. But the main one, the sub one, my one that I just created now, is collaboration than competition. Make sure you do that, because ours is simple. We want to take CPUT, one of the best universities, which is already, but we want to maintain that brand. Moving on to our program, of course, apologies for starting late. I'm going to call up upon Prof. Hayes Emert, Executive Director for Office of the Vice Chancellor, to give us the address. Give a round of applause for Prof.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you are all feeling very welcome at this event this morning. It's such a beautiful venue. I always love coming to Granger Bay, and some month or so ago we had almost every day a meeting here, and we could see the dolphins there, and it was just so wonderful to be here. So I'm not going to say again welcome to all of you, more than to say that this is for me actually a very exciting day. It's also history. I don't know whether you know that. And I want to congratulate the President of Convocation for setting this event up. And I also want to congratulate the Convocation for the maturity that they are showing in a very small period of time. I think they are really showing to us their commitment to build CPUT as the big institution that, as the program director has said, we can become. So I'm personally very proud to be part of CPUT. I've been in many higher education institutions for almost more than 30 years of my life I've given to higher education. And I must say, CPUT is something different. It's a institution that comes with challenges. It has there's a spirit, it's vibrant, etc., etc. So when I joined in December 2019, the VC was just, and by the way, he sends you all his regards. He's in France on university business, but he said, I must say to you, you must enjoy this event, and thank you for being here. When I joined, the VC said to me, Vision 2030 must now become a reality. And he challenged me to say that it must be approved by council at the end of 2020. And it did happen. And I think this strategy that I'm going to briefly introduce to you is the efforts of, on the one hand, vision from the Vice-Chancellor, but also the collective effort of everyone within the institution. Many workshops took place to get the inputs from each and every one. I've also learned through my years that sometimes a strategy is just a piece of paper, people do it, and then they forget about it. But I want to say to all of you here this morning that this for me is one of the best plans that I've been working with, because part of my job is also to implement it, and not only implement it, but also to monitor and evaluate it and see whether we are on progress every year. So it's a living document, and it's based on key performance indicators, and we measure that, and council know that, and we need to report to them. But let me go to the vision itself. We all know that we're living in a time which is called VUCA. It's volatile, it's uncertain, it's complex and ambiguous. And if you just look around in terms of what's happening in higher education in South Africa, but also worldwide, I think you will all be able to provide an example of what you have experienced, or maybe some of your family members or friends. So it's no more a peaceful job. The environment has changed over years, and with technology, so many new challenges have been put on the plate of executives. So if you don't reinvent yourself all the time as a university, then you are going to fall behind. And I think for me, this is the beauty of Vision 2030, that we have made peace with this VUCA environment. And we have responded to that in the way that we did. Now, I think very often when one starts to draw up a vision or a strategy, once again, it's uncertain. And how do you position yourself that 10 years, depending on the length of your strategy, you will still be able, you will still be relevant, because we can't predict the future. And Toffer and Gibson said way back in 2011, and the Vice-Chancellor also used this quote in his inaugural address in April 2019. The big challenge in creating the future is not predicting the future. It is not as if there is one future out there that's going to happen, and that the only challenge is trying to predict which of the potential futures will actually be the right one. How do we know? Instead, the goal is to try to imagine a future that is plausible, the future that we, CPUT, can create. And I think the word collaboration was used this morning a few times. And that future we can only create by collaboration. So when we started to develop Vision 2030, obviously we were influenced by the national and even the African context. So we had to look at the National Development Plan, for instance, also the Sustainable Development Goals, the African Agenda 2063, because we want to be a role player, not only nationally, but also on the African continent and globally. you will often hear the Vice-Chancellor talks about us being the MIT of Africa. That's our dream, to be a place where innovation takes place, where we live it, where you can see it. And then we also took into consideration the white paper on science and technology. So, for those of you who have not read or see the vision, the document itself, and maybe it's something we can share amongst the colleagues here and our friends. We talk about one smart CPUT. It's a concept with two dimensions. On the one hand, one smart university is a physical and virtual space or environment led by humans coming together to create a more humane, immersive, and an interactive environment. I remember when we had workshops one day with the unions, for instance, they said, but they're afraid that they're going to lose their work because is everything now only going to be AI, robots, automated? And the answer is simply no, because you can never take the human side away. And if you read literature today, it's all about how technology, although it's wonderful, has also its downside, and it brings distance between people. And I think the next decade, not only for us as a university, but globally, is to bring back that humanness, that feeling that we are humans, not only machines or a cell phone. So that is why, on the one hand, it's the smartness, which I will come back and do, and then the oneness, which focus on the human side. So dimension one, which is the oneness, is about a focus that we want to place on human centricity, because we believe that we have smart people at CPUT. Our staff and students are not the same staff and students of any other university in the country. We have an identity which we are very proud of. And in this oneness, we will keep on embracing what we call unity, ubunye, and diversity, ungunkafani. So we want, through engaging with staff and students and all our stakeholders, internally and externally, in a way to co-think, co-design, co-create our future in a unified spirit. And we ascribe to an African philosophy of ukuhamba ungibe izilanga zomnye umtu. And I often say that Enkosi kakhulu, dikathetha isiXhosa kancinci. If only we, every day when we get up, say, today I'm going to walk in someone else's shoes. Just think how much a better place this world will be. So the smartness, I'm going to read through that, but that is how technology, because after all we are a university of technology, and how we will focus technology to create a better humanity. We don't believe in technology just for the sake of technology, but through the research that we can contribute to improve people's lives, whether it's biotechnology, whether it's nursing, agriculture, that we will contribute towards creating a better society. So, what is a smart university? A smart university successfully harnesses the potential of digital technology and connected devices and the use of digital networks to improve people's lives through technology-enhanced learning, research, and engagement. A smart university, which we want to be, and I know we are getting there, is also one that combines the smart thing with the smart me and the smart us, which is all of us. So our vision, I said already that we want to be cutting edge. We want to be the best UOT in South Africa and on the continent and worldwide. Only yesterday I saw some emails. I think another 2 of our colleagues have been rated by the NRF in this last week or so. And that says that we are really leaving our footprint behind when it comes to research. So our values, and I think it's very important, values, you know, when you're young and you read a strategic plan and you see the values and you think, yeah, people just go through that motions. But if you live the values, it makes such a difference. These values must be seen in us as leaders, executive, convocation, students. Otherwise, what are we trying to achieve? So we say, and you will hear the oneness dimension, the human side coming out in our values, which is about kindness, which is about restoration, in dealing still with our very unfortunate past. But it's about trying to be a testimony of unity, passion. I don't want to ask you how many of you do every day go to work with passion. You can't wait to get into your office. Why are you laughing? Sure, we'll have to talk. But nonetheless, one must be passionate about what you're doing. Otherwise, something dies within yourself. And unfortunately, workplaces have become hostile places where also a lot of bad things happen. But we should never think this is how it is. We can be change agents. And then the issue of accountability. And I'm glad that the chair of council is here because they keep us accountable for good governance and ethics. And thank you so much. That we will not be known as an institution where corruption is taking place or fraud is being committed. We want to keep on priding ourselves in a university with high integrity and ethics. On the one hand, I've talked about the vision and mission and the values. What we also aspire to do is to build into our graduates certain attributes that will make them sought after in the work of world. They must have something different. And you know, today it's no more good enough to have a degree, or you can have so many titles and qualifications, but that is not what necessarily makes you a great leader or a successful business person or a great person for others to follow. It's that something that is on top of that, and it's the soft skills which is becoming increasingly important. The ability to work with people, to put yourself in their shoes, and to make a difference in your engagements. So what we preach, we need also to teach our students. And in all of our curriculum, those attributes are being built in. And deans and academics do know that it must be part of the way how they teach to look into the technological capability and foresight of students, because they will live in a world much more advanced technologically as we, for instance. Resilience and problem-solving capability. The other day I had a conversation with someone from Siemens, and he said he doesn't actually look anymore at qualifications and the CV, because it doesn't say much, but if you interview people, the very first question that he asks them is, tell me the last big problem that you have faced in either your personal life or in your work life, and how did you address that? He said what he's learning from that question is amazing. It tests knowledge, attitude, resilience, agility, character. So that is what we also want to see in our students. Ethical. We all know we live in a world, in a country where much unethical behavior is observed. We want to make an effort to tell our students it's not worth to live an unethical life. So we put a big emphasis on that. And then the ability, relational capability to embrace diversity, to be inclusive, to show patience and tolerance towards others. To execute our smart university strategy, we have identified 7 focus areas, and I'm just quickly going to mention the 7 of them that you have an understanding of what they are. We argued that if you want to be one smart university, certainly it starts with the CTS, the IT environment, and that should be the backbone. We cannot say that we want technologically astute if we don't have a stable network, and our staff cannot work with technology. So, and this is indeed happening within the institution, that we have invested quite a lot in terms of our in technology infrastructure, there are networks that has been updated, etc., etc. So that's the first thing. And obviously, CTS in today's world have a lot of challenges when it comes to cybersecurity, and it's never ending. There are every day something new, and it costs a lot of money to do so, but we try to do that. So the how part is to provide the state-of-the-art technology and services, specifically to enhance student learning, and to provide that infrastructure and support for our researchers, our scholars, etc., and to support also upgrade and enhance our current processes, a bit of automatization, to do away with the human error. When it comes to marks, for instance, there's always if it's being done manually, there's always a potential problem. And then the secure computing environment, and then the workforce that we have in that space. The second one is about smart teaching and learning environments. Our students don't want to sit in lecture venues like we did many, many decades ago. It's a complete different story. They want to sit in a smart classroom with their cell phones, with a tablet, interact. While you're talking, they Google you, see whether you're really authentic. They know more about you when they walk out by the door than you know about yourself. So, but that is how it is. And we have started now with 2 or 3 smart classrooms. We're going to roll that out. State-of-the-art technology, where we can also bring internationalization in the classroom. In the old prior COVID days, you had to get on the airplane to internationalize, and students had to go abroad. Fortunately, technology brings that kind of knowledge and exposure to experts across the world right into the classroom. I've just given a couple of examples there. How we're going to do it is, apart from the way, the mode of delivery, also to continue to reassess our programs, that it's relevant, that it's what the world of work wants. And that's, for me, one of the big pluses of UOT. The way that we teach is by doing experiential learning, work-integrated learning, and we often do get compliments when industry tell us, but your students, when they land here, we don't have to retrain them. And I think that's a big compliment in the way how we teach our students. So a big focus on the world of work. I'm not going to allude to this illustration in much detail, but this is indeed the idea of this smart teaching and learning environment where collaboration, co-learning should take place, and we look holistically at the student and his or her development. Then focus area 3 is about our smart research and to be a leader in knowledge production. The fourth one is about I'm quickly going to run through this one as well, because I'm going to show you a video, because you may think I'm just talking and talking, and what has happened in between. So, but I will show you how we have responded already to Vision 2030 with very, very innovative research, as well as projects that we have embarked on. Smart human capital and talent, that is what we want. We want to attract the best staff that we can. Not only attract them, but keep them. Unfortunately, CPUT had for a number of years quite a big staff turnover. And then you start to wonder, but why? So then you must look inside the institution and say, but why is that? Why can't we keep some of our top people here? Because it's not always only salary. So there's a big emphasis on really to make sure that we get the right people on the bus and to keep them on the bus as well. The fifth, there's the how. We are also embarking on a project to see the skills that our current staff have. How does it relate to Vision 2030? Because it's different. It's a technology embedded kind of strategy, and we cannot afford that our staff do not feel empowered to use technology optimally. So we want to build that sense of mutual respect and caring for others. 5 is the internationalization. I've already mentioned something in that regard. Our students must be able, if they do obtain their degrees, to also work not only here but abroad as well. And any university is sort of valued for their international partnerships that they also have, because it says you are acknowledged worldwide. So that is what we want to do, and that's why our VC is not here this morning, building relationships, partnerships abroad that people will know of us. Number 6 is about the smart engagement and strong links with quantable helix partners, and that is where industry also come in, and our convocation, and experts and people that can help us to become better where we have gaps, whether it's in our operations or whether it's in our curriculum. It's that community that we want to create, a CPUT community, where we care for this institution in such a way that if we see something goes wrong, we will be able to say, I recognize the problem, but here's also the solution. So industries are very important for us, and the VC often engage with industry and also the faculties and the deans in their own disciplines. So it's about engagement, it's about a 4x4, what we call engagement strategy, which we have developed, where civil society, government, industries, and academia can really come together. The last focus area is what we call smart student engagement and learning experiences. We know that our students come from environments, rural environments, low socioeconomic backgrounds, and we need to care for them. The VC like to say it's our children, and we have a role to play in everything that we do, that we engage them, that we use it as learning moments. The young people, some of them come from homes, single, where there's only one parent, mostly the mother, and we have a different role to play. And I think it's a wonderful privilege to be in a position where you can work with young people and influence their way of thinking and shape their minds. Although they're not always very easy, we know that. The demonstrations we had attest to that. But we are here to build a new generation. And I think for staff, I had to learn that you just don't take decisions, you engage with students, because it's building their leadership skills as well. Ask them what do they think, and quite often you learn a lot from the students as well. So those are the strategy. In short, if you are more interested, you are welcome. We can share that with you. What I want to do now is to share with you a video to show to you how far we have come. This is a decadal plan, Vision 2030. We are now in year 3, and I think for me this is actually a showcase of what we are doing, how we are doing things, and what we want to achieve. Thank you for listening. And also thank you for being part of One Smart CPUT, and I know the future looks bright. Thank you.
Must always have plan B. Wow, colleagues, let's give another round of applause for Prof. Heisemer. Thank you, Prof. I think, colleagues, I'm sure that you have picked up where you will play a part within the one smart CPUT that we're all striving for. As I indicated earlier, colleagues, that it is very important. Okay, let me use this one. It is very. We always see where we fit within the organization. Not everyone, or not even one person, can do everything. And I think it is very important to note that, as I indicated earlier, colleagues, that we are here to make sure that we appreciate the value that you bring to CPUT. As indicated by the Office of the VC earlier, that you need to play part and ensure that we contribute to this one smart CPUT. One of the things that I always pick it up when the speaker speaks, or some of the messages, it's leadership. I know we are using that word in South Africa very loosely, which is we always call politician leaders or leadership. Let me make this statement: never trust a politician that is a leader. Never. Why I say that? Leadership is very costly, colleagues. And since leadership is very costly, it is very important that actually one of the things in South Africa that we lack, I'm sure some of the colleagues will agree to me, is the true leader, someone that we can look up to, someone that is actually doing what that person is preaching. So as we all know that we think, or the myth is that leadership happens at the top. I don't think so. Leadership happens at the bottom. That's why I'll quote politicians. They always tell you that I control the ground. So same thing with companies. The employees that you work with, they are the ones that actually provide leadership to your business. I know the chairperson of the council will speak earlier, but I don't think that's leadership there at the top. I think it's mostly administration that's happening there. But of course, they play a key part within driving the policy of the university and ensuring that we as practitioners will ensure that we carry that vision. Of course, in South Africa, we are very known of having good plans, but the only thing that we fail is practical. That's why we lack leadership, because we don't have practitioners. Of course, one of the key things, colleagues, I pick up from the presentation from the Office of the Vice Chancellor is that it is very important that we are not building or trying to develop programs. We are building people. The essence of the key of our Vision 2030 is to build people, because people build program. So I know, as I indicated, that most politicians will tell you that this is the program that we are building. We're going to build roads. We're going to give jobs, etc. But the essence of the Vision 2030 is to build people. I think that's the key that we have to carry on. Same thing in your organization. If you want to build a good product, ensure that the people that produce or service, the people that actually carry your service, they have necessary skills. And also automatically that will give good customer service. Of course, this is my program, so I have to jab in there and there. Moving along, colleagues, we're going to take questions. Please write all the questions that you have, and we're going to engage. And as I'm sure, I think, as I indicated earlier, that you must put the executive into task if you are not paid because of certain reasons. Because I know for sure some of the colleagues that are here, they want to know when are they going to be paid, because you have provided the service. So certain things and certain aspects, it's not really your problem. You want to be paid. So of course, we're going to try to allude those issues, and also ensuring that within the Vision 2030, you pay part in it. So moving along to our message of support of the Vision 2030 and beyond, of course, colleagues, we're going to call the chairperson of council, Dr. Platsky, to come to give us a message of support. A round of applause, colleagues.
That sounds good. Thank you very much, Program Director, and good morning to everyone. I think it's still morning. It's really a great privilege to stand here before you. I'm really happy to see that Convocation has raised the standards of the interaction and the role of Convocation, because I've been on the Council of CPUT for the last nearly 5 years now, and we've been through a difficult time. We've been through worse times before I arrived on council, I must say, but I think we're really on the way to great success for this university. So, first of all, to your leadership, from the top, President of Convocation. Program Director, I believe that there's a top-down and a bottom-up approach. That's the way development really does happen. And it's as important for those students and those staff members in our university to realize that there is a no-nonsense, zero-tolerance, ethical position in our council. And I think if we all have to take 1.5 minutes to think about the state of higher education in the country today, and we look at what's happened, whether it's UNISA, UCT, Fort Hare, UKZN, yes, and Stellenbosch recently had its own, University of Stellenbosch recently had its own challenges as well. So I think we can be very proud that CPUT is not in that league anymore, let me say. We are on a real, on a growth trajectory. We have ups and downs, and personally I believe that the downs that we had a couple of months ago were not really a result of student activism. Unfortunately, I believe that there are elements in our country, and especially as we lead up to elections next year, that are intent on destabilizing different sectors. You can look at the construction sector. I was listening as I drove here this morning about Public Works in KwaZulu-Natal having a meeting with the construction mafia in KZN. My goodness, this is really something that we have to acknowledge, that there are sectors in this economy of ours that are the targets of destabilization, to put it mildly. And I firmly believe that higher education must not be one of those. This is the future of our country. These youngsters, and by the way, I had a registrar and I were involved with a stakeholder meeting with our SRCs last night. Very interesting. It's very hard for student leadership to differentiate between a strategic meeting and an operational meeting. So, you know, in the days, and I have a colleague here from the days of student politics many years ago, when we were, you know, fighting for free education 50 years ago, St. George's Cathedral steps, those sorts of things, it was a different cup of tea in those days. There we were fighting for free education for the country, not for me. Not in a way that we have landed up now, where there are students who are more interested in what subsidy they get if they're on the SRC. You know, not interested in, well, let's call it what it is. I think it's vested interests. And I think that's what has been a really major problem from all sectors and leadership. Only these youngsters are learning. They're seeing what is happening in the rest of the country, and they're having a go at that. And I was very impressed that 1 or 2 of them last night actually said, we are not here to deal with these operational issues. We deal with that with management. They don't always know what the channels are, and so on and so on. So I think Convocation, as I've said to you, President, before, you have a very important role in mentoring these youngsters. I don't want to be patronizing at all, but they have no experience of the working world. They have no experience of accountability. They have no first-hand knowledge. Very often in their municipalities, in their schools. There's so much that is not good, not ethical, that they don't have role models. So I think the role of Convocation, and I really do see this kind of meeting where stakeholders from across different ranges, not all of you, I understand, are Convocation members, but from industry and so on, you need to understand that we've got a project, an ethical project here that we're working on together, and that is the leadership role that we can play in our small way. And if we can start to say that CPUT is one of the most productive, ethically run, governed institutions in the country, we're the biggest university in the Western Cape. We can start making a difference with the others. All you need is a critical mass of a few good people doing the right thing to make that difference. And yes, we do train them technically. We do want the best staff. We want the best research. We want to be recognized in the continent and in the world as one of the best. But we also want to train our students who become graduates, who go into business, who go into the public sector, who go into NGOs or whatever. So issues like renewable energy, we're a leading force in that. We should be a leading force in the world today on renewable energy. What is holding us back? Not CPT, but vested interests in the old forms of energy. And I could go on and on. So I want you to say thank you very much for this opportunity. Rest assured that we are doing what we can do in our space, in the council, and we hold the executive to account, as they know. We ask lots of questions.
Okay, I'll take a question, and then I'll let my executive to respond, and then I'll take another round. Yes. Yeah, you can come.
Thanks, Program Director. I think it would be appropriate for me to say all protocol is observed so that I don't take much time. It's Pavuyise, the name is Yermanas, coming from Agri-CETA. I represent the Sector Education Training Authority, which is mainly focusing on primary agriculture. I think it's profound for me to say over the past couple of years, we have enjoyed a good relationship with TUT, especially on work integrated learning, CPUT, especially on work integrated learning, as well as offering of bursaries. However, we've seen a reduction in the past couple of years in their appetite to actually apply for some of our grants. So it is for that reason today that I'm here, because most of the operations that we support, particularly in aquaculture, horticulture, are actually situated here in Western Cape. So it's important for me maybe to request the director in the VC's office to just touch base with me before they leave, so that we can see what is it that we can take forward after this, because as the institution we would love to strengthen our relationship at an organizational level in a form of an MOU, which will then support the vision that the university is talking about, especially the focus area, which is area number 6. I thank you.
Thank you. Executive. Press. Okay, there are good news here. Chair and the Office of the VC, before you leave, there's a partnership from Agri-CETA that is coming.
Yeah, thanks. I think let's give Agri-CETA a round of applause again. Eh? that's the type of commitment that we want. Now, you've thrown the ball in our hands. Professor Swimmer, as the highest official that is here on behalf of the VC's office, I'm sure you would have taken note of that. Colleagues, so I'm going to invite you, Professor Swimmer, to respond to one or two of the comments, but I just want to talk to one of the others. So I think the one around collaboration with Stats SA in relation to teaching or encouraging students to study relevant qualifications. It's something that I'm sure that you'll be able to deal with. The District 6 issue as well. And I want to comment on the impact that you made, say, around. It's amazing how we underestimate the impact of some of our actions. So you mentioned that the immediate communities that are surrounded in our campuses are directly affected when there's instability that leads to violence. And we sometimes take that for granted. And I must say, I think you are very correct. We take it for granted that it must be understood. Not that to say it's an institutional position, but as individuals. So I totally agree with you. I think this is a call on us as the respective structures of the university to say, when these things happen, hopefully that they reduce as they are, but when they happen, we must take an active role in really talking to our immediate communities and really taking them into confidence on some of the challenges that we grapple with. So we take that point, and it's something that we totally agree with. The importance of effecting systems, I think, Mr. Zondi, you're quite correct. We cannot be able to elaborate any further on that. But the one part that was raised was important, the role of business in the ecosystem. So it's very important how we relate. How you relate to the university is so important. I totally agree. We want partners that are genuine to make us to go where we want to achieve. And one thing I'm certain of is that when a relationship is built on ethical and mutual values, there is likely to be value that is to be derived on both parties. But if you're already coming into a relationship wanting to pull a wool over the other, then it doesn't happen. So totally agree. And I think the gentleman from AgriSeta was showcasing example, say as well on your side, showcasing to say that you are attracting, let's attract young people and employ them. Those are the types of relationships really we want to really build with the institution. The patent incubation hub, I'd leave it to you, Prof. It's very important. I'm sure that it's something that you are very capable of dealing with. And yeah, that's all on my side. And yeah, thank you so much for the comments, colleagues. Let's give Prof. Hevswemmer an opportunity to also comment.
Thank you so much for all the contributions. Well received and absolutely appropriate. I want to touch upon the issue of prior learning. Yes, the university has a very solid and well-established entity who does exactly that. So that can be done. I don't know which faculty you have in mind, but I will give you my contact details and I can bring you in touch with the faculty, no problem. The issue of when we have demonstrations and, you know, it impacts on the immediate community, it's very sad. And we also see that not only in D6, but also on, in other areas where we have residences. I would really like to call upon each and every one of you, if there is something like that, please contact me in the Office of the Vice Chancellor if you're aware of stuff and want to talk about it and how you can assist us. We do have really an open door because we want to minimize that risks and the reputation damage to the institution. And I always say it takes a whole, not only one village, a couple of villages to raise the next generation of people for this country. We have a technology transfer office. Dr. Aya Rever is there, and we are looking. The strategy now is to bring in people from, it could be alumni, it could be people from the local community. We have that kind of incubation hub. So it would be fantastic if you would come and once again, I will bring you in contact with the director there. AgriSeta, we are embarking on a wonderful journey. I'm sure you know about our Wellington campus. We've also recently bought land, and it's partially for training, but we're also going to use the land for food security for our students. In other words, there will be vegetables being planted, etc., etc. And for students in need of food, the farm will have like a dual function, training, but also food security on the other side. I agree with the security issues. I must say that there has a lot been happening recently in that space, and with these last demonstrations, we really succeeded via the cameras and the footage that we got to really bring people to task. So I hope and I know that it's not going to just be the nice things that we have, but they're going to work for us, because that will create a culture of, there will be consequences. So thank you for all of that. I think I've touched upon everything, but any one of you, if you have ideas or questions, you can really drop me an email, and I will certainly also bring it to the attention of the Vice-Chancellor and follow up. Thank you.
My colleagues from the Convex would fine me if I don't say this. While we are not here we said there are programs that we're going to be inviting you and initiatives. We are not closed for any other interested parties to make these pledges now. If you don't want to make them in public, our table colleagues that assisted you to register. By all means, if you want to donate, you want to recruit, all of that, whatever. It's open. It does not have to be something that is structured all the time. We will have programs, but even this platform, like you have done, like the colleague that says that will continue to take. So please be more than free. If you feel that the wallet is really warm, by all means. If you feel that you want to recruit students or whatever, you want to partnerships, I think Professor Omer has guided in terms of how it's going to happen. But others that we are saying to give, more than welcome. Write down details, indicate what you're going to be assisting with. We will then take it up and follow up. Thanks.
Thank you, President. I think I'll open for another round of questions. I think just to add on the incubation thinking that you have said, I think where I'm from, I'm the director for the incubation center and also the chair of one of the cannabis incubator, which is new, funded by CEDA. We do have CEDA, Office of the CEO at CEDA, whereby they drive, I think they have about 120 incubators nationally. So I'll give you my contact to see, because I'm the expert of the incubation, so to see how can we collaborate with CPUT. There is an incubation center for graduate and incubation center at CPUT, but I think your one is sector specific, so we can have that in conversation. Thank you. Colleagues, round of questions? Miss, there we go.
There we go. Good afternoon. My name is Johan Marais. I'm from a company called Kimso, C-I-M-S-O. We basically do hospitality software, and obviously we're in Ranger Bay here. So some of your neighboring university, specifically by names, Namibia University of Science and Technology, they've used our software to also train students specifically to digitalization. And I'm very glad to hear that part of the focus in 2030 is looking at the opportunity as well to say, how do we ready students as they go through their education, so that when they go out into the world, that they are ready for the digital challenges that they'll be facing. So we've made this offer before, and again, this morning we would like to make the offer again. We're a local company. All our programmers are based here in Cape Town, Somerset West, and it's kind of sad for me the fact that we're donating our software to educational institutions in Namibia, Windhoek, when we've got this great university right at our doorstep. So we want to again commit from a company to say we're more than willing to donate our software to CPUT to use here, and the value, if you look at just let's say roughly 50 students, would be between about 5 to 7 million. So that we gladly donate. And if there's any further opportunity, because we also, literally last week, I presented at the United Nations, the UNESCO, they've got a BUILT initiative in terms of how to further take the educational initiative, not just to the big cities, but actually locally, because a lot of the, specifically on the hospitality side, they're based in very rural areas. So how can we take that responsibility? And again, great to see that Africa is part of the focus, because as we have customers in Namibia, Botswana, Eswatini, Tanzania, etc., that is a role that, again, CPUT can play, because from a lecture and investment perspective, not all of those institutions can afford it. So what's the role that CPUT can play as they move forward with such? But in a nutshell, we're offering that to CPUT, and I would gladly afterwards talk to anybody with regard to that.
Thank you. I think the Convocation executive, I hope colleagues, you are helping me here to note all of the colleagues so that we do this engagement. And the gentleman indicated that he has done it before, so clearly it was not receiving much attention as he needed. So please, colleagues, let's follow that up. Chair.
Thanks very much. I just wanted to comment on the District 6. It triggered something for me. So in various past lives of mine, I've worked against forced removals. So there's a long history of forced removals in this country. And District 6 being one of the most highest profile, if you can say. And just holding that for a moment, also, the fact that we have a huge challenge with the rapidity with which students come into the university, they shouldn't spend more than 3 or 4 years here, but let's just say there's a rapid change, turnover. So what the VC did a few years ago, and it was before COVID, was to have an outreach program with the District 6 community as they were coming back. I also worked in government some years ago, and we were trying to get more people back into District 6, and there were issues with tenders and procurements in rebuilding District 6. Let me be quite frank about it, and that's part of the reason why so few people are back in District 6, so let's put that on the table. So anyway, what the VC did was that he had an outreach program, and he led a program with our current students of the day, so this is 5 or so years ago, to understand what forced removals were in this country. Because remember that these youngsters were born after democracy, after 94. And here they were, many of them from rural areas, probably where there were forced removals. And they had no idea of the history of District 6. So back that up against when there's demonstrations, and very politely we call them demonstrations, the hooligans that run around, that join in the whole thing. There's not a backdrop and understanding of who these people are who live there, of what they've gone through, and now what they're going through when people start to tackle them in their homes or around their homes and make the streets not safe. So the outreach of the university, and I think we must talk to the VC again about restarting that or upping that understanding of where we are in society, spatially located in District 6, in Bellville, the relationship with UWC, the relationship with the Delft community, with a very problematic community there. These are all spaces in which our youngsters grow. They're not only here for their technical degrees, they're not only here for that. They're here to understand their role in society, and against the absolute backdrop of violence and forced removals, as an example. So the point I'm trying to make is that there's a whole partnership with the District 6 community. You know, I have it in my head that some of those people who are living in those houses, who maybe their children have grown up, and we should be taking our students in as lodgers. There should be a mutual relationship between the generations. You know, they can earn a bit as pensioners by renting out to the students. The students can then walk to the campus. So there's a whole community that we can build around that. And that's not just about the money, but it builds relationships. Thanks.
Thank you, Chair. Remember, the President indicated that you are the friends of the Convocation, so we partnership, we striving for that. Let's keep it rolling, colleagues. Any question? I want to take everyone that has any comment, question, we welcome them. Going once, going twice. Any question, comments? I think, yeah, okay. I think your colleagues were clear. You're making my job very easy. Moving along on the program, colleagues, because you are business people, we don't want to keep you for long. Let's welcome for the vote of thanks, Mr. Selo, the registrar, to come and thank you all. Round of applause, please.
Thank you, Program Director. I was just sitting there and I was looking at the program and I said to myself, Program Director, you know, this is one of the very high risk item on the agenda. And simply because it's one item that after it you don't have the question and answer. So I can say anything I want to say, Program Director, nobody will hold me account because after I've spoken, no one is going to speak, including your Program Director. You know, this is also something that I've observed in quite a number of occasions I've been to, this item. Because at some point you listen to this item, vote of thanks, and you are sitting there and you are not sure whether this is a vote of thanks or whether this is another speech or item. Keynote, yes, that is the thing. So colleagues, but on a serious note, I'm really so humbled to see this venue so full, and I will talk about that in a couple minutes. But I'm just going to mention quite a few offices here, but in no particular order. But just to say at the beginning, I will want to really thank the Convocation, which is the brain behind this whole activity and initiative. So thanks to the Convocation and Convex in particular, under the able leadership of the President. And also the tax team, that was also planning this whole event. You know, talking about the tax team, and I will also talk about the secretariat which provided the support. You see, it's not an easy thing to have all these big minds in one roof. It takes a lot of hard work behind the scene. But more often, you know, it's something that we'll forget that, and then we are just happy now that we are seeing in front of us. You know, as the registrar, this is always the message that I share with my team. After a job well done in one of the projects, I'll quote, for example, the graduation. You know, graduation, everybody's happy there, the students, the parents, everybody, media, everybody. And I will always say, but if you come to think what happened behind the scene, and those are the soldiers, so which we often forget, and I always say after the event that I call my team and say, thanks for you for the job well done. So for now, I just want to say the tax team, led by Dr. Lose and Dr. Zwakala, thank you for a job well done. In the same breath, I will really want to extend my thanks to the secretariat team, led by the coordinator in the office of the registrar, Ms. Yoli, and Mr. Majija is sitting somewhere there. for the support that they have provided in organizing this whole event. Yesterday, I was in the office and I saw Ms. Yoli and the team, they were so busy. And I was like, colleagues, what is it that you are doing? They said, no, Registrar, we are doing this name text. You see this? Yeah. So thank you, colleagues, for the job. Well done. The Chair of Council, I must really single you out. They always say time is money. And I'm talking to business people, the president. So for making time, we know colleagues that were working or are living in a very busy time. Our schedules are always so tight, but for a person really to take time off and come and be part of us, let alone with the inspiring speech that you have just spoken, Chair. I was looking at you when you were speaking and you were just speaking out of the head, and I was like, yeah, you see, when you are passionate, I'm still going to talk about passion, Prof. Then some of these things become so easy, but thanks you, Chairperson, for your time. Prof. Heiswema, wearing the cape of the VC. And I was just whispering to Prof to say, I've seen I've been part of this whole big document of the strat plan. But the way, it was shared with the colleagues here who might have not had time to read it, the way it was nicely summarized. Anybody who haven't read it, you can follow it. By the time you are going to read it, at least you've got the whole thing. But thanks, Prof, for that. There are two things that I picked up from your speech, Prof. Just a quick one. Ability to work with people as well as passion. And I was sitting there and I was thinking about when you're talking about ability to work with people. There's one time when I read one article, it's an HR article, where it was saying it is not, you don't get the best out of the people because of how much you pay them, but because of how they are managed. That's very important. So I was just thinking about that when you were mentioning the issue of the ability to work with people as it relates to the strat plan. The issue of passion is also a very good thing that you mentioned to say. And I was just thinking there that, it takes a passion for anybody to do any job, whatever difficult it is. Chairperson, it makes it easy for us to account to council because of the passion that we have in our job. I'll talk about myself as the registrar in particular. So thank you very much, Prof. And then Convocation President, the very thought-provoking speech. Thank you very much in your leadership. As usual, I could read the passion there and the energy, and we say thank you for that. I'm not going to say anything. We were all there. We have listened to what you have to say and the vision that you have for the convocation. And lastly, our guest. In my language, they say the success of an event is measured by the people who attend. So as I indicated, seeing the hall so full, for me, it's really humbling on behalf of Convocation. And I want to thank all of you. Lastly, Program Director, I also want to say thank to you for a job well done. Thank you.
This is the most important part of the session. Thank you, Reg. Networking. I don't want to say much. So let's network. I think I'll just go straight to that gentleman because it's where I play within my space. So, colleague, thank you very much. I think the Reg has said it all. We're going to have, this is my portfolio actually within the Convex. So, partnership, collaboration, Ubuntu. Yeah. So, we're going to have another session. We're going to share the way that you got the invite, whereby we'll do some sort of fundraising, right, President? So, we're looking forward, as now you are the friend of Convocation. If maybe you're not being listened to by the management, so try always WhatsApp my president, say, hey, I have a complaint. He's running away from that responsibility. But anyway, colleagues, thank you very much. You've been an awesome, you made my job very easy, and until we meet again. Thank you.